Welcome to Punch Talk Wrestling! On this episode, we bring to you our first ever two-part episode as we talk about the history of the Undisputed WWE Championship. I am R.W. Hellborn, the PA Rock Prince, hailing quote-unquote from Philly! And I am one half of the Crown, which is one half of your Punch Talk Wrestling Inter-Universal Tag Team Podcast Champion hosts of the world! Now, then, and forever by my side, 500 miles away in London, England. He's my tag team podcast partner. He is the other half of the Crown, which is the other half of your Punch Talk Wrestling Inter-Universal Tag Team Podcast Champion host of the world, Mr. Did You Know? Sir King of Reels, the proper prick, CJ Newman!
Did you know that in today's episode we are doing the title history of the WWF Championship, WWE Championship, whatever the fuck you want to call it? It's had a lot of names over the years.
The Undisputed WWE Championship. It has had several names. It has had a plethora of names.
And we'll get to those names. But in this episode, we work our way from the very start of this championship in 1963 all the way up to the year 2000. Now, anyone who's been listening to this podcast for a while knows we do these intros after we've done the episode.
What?
Yeah, I know. Pull the curtain back a little bit, huh? I'm going to ask
Don't let them know it's a work.
Sorry, I'm breaking
Montreal screw job.
I'm going to ask you a question.
No.
And I'm going to give you three guesses. How many championship holders,
Did you say, did you know? Though,
yeah, I did at the start of all this.
Oh, I was still screaming. I couldn't.
Oh, cool.
Do it again.
How many do you know? What?
Say it again. You gotta say did you know again so that I can line up the track.
I already said it.
Yeah, but I didn't hear you say it. I need the intro for myself to get prepped, so that I get.
Well, no, but I explained the whole thing. I've got to do it again now.
Yeah, for me.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Did you know?
There it is.
That between 1963. No, that's. This is how I worded it. I'm gonna have to do this all again now. It's because of you. Did you know that in today's episode, we are covering the championship history between 1963 and the year 2000?
Yes, I did know that because we've already done it.
Okay, good. Now, between 1963 and the year 2000, there are a certain amount of championship reigns. Mm-hmm. I want you to tell me how many reigns that's been. Go. 3 guesses.
But we literally just did it.
Literally just how many reigns are there? In the last between 1963 and the year 2000, or I guess 1963 and the end of 1999. Go, 30 seconds. 3 guesses.
14. 27.
What the fuck? No. What?
48.
No.
No.
No, you're over.
26.
56. No, 56.
56.
How did you say 12? How was 12 your first guess?
Because I'm so tired, man. I was up until 3. It was almost 3 o'clock. I've had 5 hours of sleep.
Well, there were 2 championship reigns in the 60s. There were 7 championship reigns in the 70s. There were 6 championship reigns in the 80s. And there were 41 championship reigns in the 90s.
Oh my God, that's too many.
It's way too many. We'll get to the this century's in next episode. We'll do the same thing. But how's about we talk about the title history of the Undisputed WWE Championship between 1963 and 1999?
Yeah!
So I've got the whole history here. You do not. So
I
you're
don't,
gonna
and I
be
probably
kinda,
shouldn't, and I'm going to not. I'm not even going to pull it up.
You're gonna kind of play along with the listeners here.
I am. I'm going to act. I'm going to act as if I am the internet, and I'm going to.
There you go.
And I'm going to over exaggeratedly respond to everything immediately without. No.
So WWF Championship, obviously starting off as the WWWF World Heavyweight Championship.
Indeed.
In the Worldwide Wrestling Federation back in 1963.
Yeah.
This championship, so we've seen how many champions have we had? That's a good question.
Did you know?
But I can tell you, yeah, we've had 54 champions and we've had 147 reigns. If you think about it, since 1963,
we've had 54. Oh, 54 individual persons.
Yeah,
held
individual. Yeah.
And you know, you know who I've got. Here's a digibonus. Here's another digibonus.
What's that?
You know who the 50th?
Oh, 55. 55. I'm sorry.
But do you know who the
55.
50th person to hold the WWE Championship was?
Who?
The modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal.
I know who it was. I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah.
So we've had 55 champions, but in a way, we've had 57. But we'll get to that. Oh shit!
But also,
hold on.
Yeah.
57, 58, 59. We had 59 champions. 57 champions, but kind of 59. It's complicated. We'll get there.
And I think I know which one of them. I know one of them.
Yeah. So the WWF, at the time in 1963, was a NWA territory.
Indeed it was.
So this is them kind of, severing its ties from the NWA, essentially. Even though they were still part of the NWA in ways until 1971. They even had ties with the NWA going forward all the way to the 90s until they didn't.
Yes.
Yeah. So the WWF, part of the National Wrestling Alliance, did not recognize Luther's victory over reigning NWA champion Buddy Rogers, so sought out to create its own world title upon exiting the NWA. So the first ever match for, I guess you could say, the WWF Championship was on April 11th, 1963. And it was between Buddy Rogers and Luther's. There we go. We had Buddy Rogers. So obviously Luther's beat Buddy Rogers for the championship. And that's where, obviously, that's the one I just said. They didn't recognize it. They awarded... Yeah, so they awarded the Buddy Rogers the title after the WWF left the National Wrestling Alliance, of which Rogers had been the 7th NWA World Champion after defeating Pat O'Connor, which was back in June.
Okay.
So
of the same year of 62.
Of the same of June of 61. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
61. Okay.
Yeah. So 2 years prior. So when Buddy Rogers lost to Luther's for the title on January 24th, 1963. Northeast Promoters, which was led by Vince McMahon Sr. and Toots Mondt, did not recognize the change and withdrew their membership from the NWA to form the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And from that point, the WWF billed Rogers as their world champion since January 25th, 1963, but did not recognize him as the first ever WWF World Champion until April 11th, 1963, when he actually physically received the belt.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what was happening in those 6 months between. I mean, that the day after they're saying they awarded him the title the day after they broke away, but then
It's what it seems like to me. I feel like leaving the NWA was quite a brash, quick decision, and obviously they were like, "Well, cool, we're going to give you this new championship. We just don't actually physically have it yet.
We don't physically have it yet, and we probably can't even talk about it until
So
like they might have had a WCNBCDN CACDCA in fact at the point.
Exactly, you never know.
Danny the Brain Bowman would probably know.
Now the strange thing is, and maybe Danny the Brain Bowman might be able to shed some light on this, but
you might say he might care to explain.
He might care to explain. He was given the championship physically on April 11th, 1963, which I said that's when the reign was first recognized. But for some reason, the WWE has since listed Buddy Rogers' reign and the establishment of the title beginning April 25th, 1963, which is quite odd. So
we've got a third date in there.
Yeah. And I'm not sure why that is. I couldn't figure that out for myself. So here we are. So he didn't hold that championship for very long. He held it for 36 days from the April 11th date, but days recognized as champion would actually only be 21 from April 25th until May 17th, 1963, when Bruno Sammartino won his first ever WWF championship when he beat Buddy Rogers at just a house show in New York, which I think was Madison Square Garden. I'm going to say for sure it was.
It was it was Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
That I know.
And that was, of course, his longest reign, his 2,803-day reign, which lasted from 1963 till 1971. A record that I think we can all say that probably will never be matched.
Well, it will absolutely never be.
Yeah, it's not how wrestling works these days, and it's like an incredible feat, but it was a very different time. Like, I mean, his matches are very few and far between.
I mean, that's I don't know how many times he defended the title during that reign. I bet you he defended that title less than Roman Reigns defended his title.
Yeah.
Here's a little thing I do know about this match, because there are some bits and bobs, some bobs and bubs, some bippers and boppers or whatever, but he won this match in 48 seconds with a backbreaker.
Right, there you go.
But I mean, talk about a squash. I mean, 48 seconds, man.
Yeah, match. For sure. That is a pretty much of a squash match, yeah. And technically...
It'd be a submission.
Technically, I mean, I don't know if Buddy Rogers... I'm sure maybe Buddy Rogers... 21 days, 36 days, who knows? But who knows? Maybe this is Buddy Rogers' first title defense. I'm not actually sure. I'd have to look into that. But you could probably guess that this is probably Buddy Rogers' first title defense.
Here is the exact same play that we've seen time and again. New era. The old guard is in and established, and immediately gets trumped, immediately gets dethroned by here is our big star that we're going to make the icon, the face, the literal face of our organization. Bruno and who better than Bruno Sammartino? I mean, Bruno Sammartino. Just if anyone listening has never watched a Bruno Sammartino match, get onto the WWE Network.
Yeah.
If you have to get on Peacock to get to it, you can do that too. We're not gonna, I've made my peace with Peacock and the situation. I understand that life is never perfect. You never get everything you want.
Yeah.
Even when you ask for it, even when you say, "Give me what I want," give me what I want, please. Give me what I want.
A good source to head to if you want to look at any kind of match history of any wrestler, if you go to cagematch.net, if no one knows about that already, they keep a database of every single wrestler that's ever existed and every match they've ever been in.
Yeah. Oh shit.
And
they do.
so if you go there, you can see. I mean, like it's a shitload of matches. I'm not going to sit here and count them, but Bruno Sammartino probably wrestled a lot more matches than people think he did. And during his reign as WWF World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, it sounds like he wrestled more than I even thought he did.
Yeah. So yeah, he wrestled. I mean, it looks like some months he wrestled every 2 to 3 days, traveling around the country. So I think people
they were building. I mean, well, they had. Think about it this way: they had to. They were building up the new brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, quick shout out to what may be the second worst title design, in my opinion. The original in the shape of the United States, but
original,
But yet it's a worldwide.
It was the world
championship.
Yeah, it
but
was
it's in the shape of the United States. I'm like,
it's so funny if you say it all in full. It's the Worldwide Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight Championship. That's the official name.
Yeah,
but that changes very soon. So Bruno Sammartino lost his championship on January 18th, 1971 to Ivan Koloff in Madison Square Garden once again. And that reign was even shorter than Buddy Rogers. Only lasted 21 days until he lost it to Pedro Morales once again in Madison Square Garden. Pedro Morales on February 8th, 1971. Now, this was obviously when WWF made up with the NWA. The title was renamed from the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, and it was now renamed the WWF Heavyweight Championship. So if you think it's only a modern day thing where they constantly take the world and put in the world and take out the heavyweight and put in the heavyweight,
no.
It's a thing that's been happening since day dot. So
and I can also guarantee you there are reasons why. This is another one of those things, because the moniker of World Heavyweight Champion has been an NWA thing. It's in the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Sure.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, and it's why in WCW when they made their WCW World Heavyweight Championship, it was directly against when they were they broke away from the NWA too, trying to.
Yeah. So we're on Pedro Morales. So WWF have. Whoa, my mic's doing that thing again. WWF have now rejoined the NWA after their near decade-long spat. So Pedro Morales is now your WWF. So many W's. I can tell why they took it out.
Yeah.
The WWF Heavyweight Champion at this time. He held that title for 1,027 days from 1971 to 1973. Lost it to Stan Stasiak, the father of Sean Stasiak.
In Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, yeah. How did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, big. I did have a couple of little bits and bobs that I wrote down.
Oh, fair. Cool. So Stan Stasiak holds that championship for 9 days, loses it once again to Bruno Sammartino. Who
where have we seen that? Where have we seen that afterwards?
Yeah.
Bruno Sammartino, the 70s Hulk Hogan, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So Bruno Sammartino holds that title for 1,237 days, loses it to Superstar Billy Graham in Baltimore, and Superstar Billy Graham holds that championship for 296 days. Now, it's quite an interesting fact to behold that this is 1977 at this point.
Yeah.
This here will mark, as Superstar Billy Graham, marks the first time that an American held the championship since Buddy Rogers won it in 1963.
Since he was awarded it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, in fact, Superstar Billy Graham is the first American champion to win the championship from someone else.
Right.
Bruno being born in Italy, Stan Stasiak from Canada, Pedro Morales is obviously from Puerto Rico, Ivan Koloff is from Russia. He was billed from Russia, but he, again, born in Canada.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he's Canadian. He's actually Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian, yeah. But, yeah, first American born, so it's kind of crazy.
Almost everyone who's Russian in professional wrestling is actually just Canadian.
Exactly, yeah. So, he holds that title for 296 days and loses that to Bob Backlund in February 20th, 1978. Now, this one is actually an event. This was called, and it was televised. I guess you could say this was the first ever televised title change, because this was WWF on MSG Network. And the reason I say WWF is because on this, with Bob Backlund's win, the title was renamed to the WWF Championship when the Worldwide Wrestling Federation became the World Wrestling Federation.
So Bob Backlund's. This is the win. This is the point where they've changed it in 78.
It's a bit scruffy. So they changed their name in March of 1979. I guess officially for marketing purposes was the reason, but it seems like the WWF on MSG Network was held in 1978. There's also really fucking. This is where shit gets very, very messy. Are you ready for this?
Okay, I'm ready. I'm buckled. Hold on. Yep.
So, ready. Bob Backlund wins the title on February 20th, 1978. And he holds that championship for 648 days. Now, you're hearing that, and you're probably going, hold the fuck on, Chris. Bob Backlund has one of the longest reigns in history. Well, I guess so, yeah. But during a show in Tokushima, Japan, Antonio Inoki defeated Bob Backlund for the WWF Championship. That would be a 6-day title reign. So it's fucking messy. It's really fucking messy. But Bob Backlund immediately vacated the title after a title defense rematch with Bob Backlund ended in a no contest due to interference from New Japan's Tiger Jeet Singh. Right. Okay. So it's messy. Let me just read this out to you. Bob Backlund then defeated Bobby Duncombe in a Texas death match to fill the vacancy on October 19th, 1981. Following controversial match with Greg Valentine in Madison Square Garden, the title was vacated, recognized only in New York City by the New York State Athletic Commission. Backlund defeated Valentine in a rematch on MSG on November 23rd, 1981 to end the vacancy. WWE now recognizes this whole period as one uninterrupted reign, which would then mean Bob Backlund held the championship for 648 days, lost it to Antonio Inoki, it got bounced around for a while, and then for like a 2-month period, and then he won it back in a Texas bull rope match against Bobby Duncombe. And he continued his reign for another 1,470 days. They do not recognize Antonio Inoki as a WWF champion. Even though
everyone else does.
Even though in an episode of SmackDown in 2022, while announcing Antonio Inoki's death, Corey Graves referred to Inoki as the first ever Japanese wrestler to hold the WWE Championship. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe the history book should be changed at some point.
Well, because he held it. He
did hold it.
He physically held it in his hands. And I think he physically had it for. Yeah. I only know a very little bit of the story, other than mainly that it was controversial. It involved Antonio Inoki, and
it's a mess. It's a complete mess.
But see, that sounds like. Imagine if in the internet. If like this era, this was like this was probably the biggest controversial thing that happened during this time.
Oh yeah,
and this was, Well, this was before New Japan started, right? I guess 1970. We're talking what? 79, 78, 79, 80?
No,
whatever.
I think New Japan Pro Wrestling started in 19. Where's the date here? 1972. Yeah, just as I said earlier.
Okay.
So yeah, New Japan did exist at this time.
Wasn't Antonio Inoki also champion
Of New Japan at the time?
of New Japan, or
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I'm sure there's a much better wrestling historian that could probably give you a much better in-depth analysis of this whole thing. But
anybody, give us the details. Dig deep. Unpaid intern research. I knew there was a bunch of controversy with this, and it sounds like it's all part of a big. I mean, there probably was some real bullshit, behind it about stuff. Just like with them leaving the NWA and then like changing the title so that it's not the World Heavyweight Championship, like there is called the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Because the words do matter. Names are important. Things like that. Like it does actually matter. It matters to the people that are doing it,
right?
Even when the people that are watching it don't think it matters. Like, that shit does matter. The fact that another company is calling themselves the World Heavyweight Champion and you have a World Heavyweight Champion is directly, it's directly confrontational. If you notice, WWE's championships do not sound like this is. Like you said, they bounce around with names, but they do it intentionally so that their title, their championship, is named something different than other people's championships. So there's no confusing them. Anyway.
Exactly. So Bob Backlund is now champion, and he was recognized as champion by the WWE for 2,135 days. So he, with that, even with his second kind of run with it after the whole Tony Inoki situation, it's 1,470 still puts him up there as one of the longest, but they recognize him as 2,135. So anyway, if you go back to...
so that would put him in third place.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So if you go back to episode 20 of this podcast, you'll hear us doing a watch-along of the Iron Sheik versus Bob Backlund, because this is when the Iron Sheik defeated Bob Backlund for the WWF Championship.
December 26,
1983.
In Madison Square Garden. I know.
So,
you can see clips of this in Riverside Odds Camel Clutch video.
There you go.
That I didn't plug when we talked about it the first time. I don't know why.
He wins the championship, and this would end once again WWF's affiliation with the NWA. So now we're back to being just known straight up as not NWA, well, the WWF. We're known as now as the WWF. Simple as that. And if nothing proves that than anything else, it would be the fact that 28 days later, Hulk Hogan now wins the WWF Championship, and now in January 23rd, 1984, which then kicks off, I guess, what we'd all know as the
Hulkamania begins.
The Hulkamania, and the rest is history up until the modern day, because like that kind of formed what we know professional wrestling as today.
And once I mean, this is play by play. It's exactly the same play as before.
Yeah,
we've got a transitional champion coming. You know, the old guard. The old guard has been retired. We've now got, and he was. It also makes. I mean, looking at it from the perspective of, you're going into this shift. Obviously, they knew Vince and his father, were working on him buying it out. Like, these things were in motion and planned.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that even at this point, because looking at it at the time, we can look at it retrospectively, and this is 50 years ago.
Yeah.
More with some of this shit. Nobody knew any of this shit back then. Like,
no,
there was no internet. There was no like them completely scrubbing that and not recognizing it was for their own publicity at the time, because knocking off, the Iron Sheik defeating Bob Backlund, who's been champion for years, who's just been continually the champion. It just looks better on paper,
Exactly.
And then,
yeah.
And then Hulk Hogan coming in to be the new, to knock him back off, and be the new big guy, and we see how long that reign was, just like Bruno Sammartino's. I mean, it's not quite as long. He didn't hold it for 8 years, but the whole point was new era, new face, new super long reign.
Right.
We're building the foundation of our brand on this guy, and and here we are. So anyway, we're at
we're about to get. So Hulk Hogan holds that championship for 1,474 days. Very long reign. A reign that we all thought, some of us thought anyway, not saying anyone's names, that Roman Reigns would then defeat and go past that number. But some certain hosts of this podcast definitely knew that wasn't going to happen. So
I mean, some people were really, some people were right on their predictions, and some people were surprised.
Surprised, exactly. Hulk Hogan held that championship for 1,474 days, and he lost that championship in February 5th, 1988, at the main event 1, I believe. Yes,
which would be the precursor to Saturday night's main event.
NBC.
Yeah, they're beginning the beginnings of their long relationship with NBC.
Right. So Andre the Giant defeated Hulk Hogan.
Who?
Andre. Not Andre.
Andre.
Yeah, just Andre.
You said it exactly the same every single one of those times.
Defeated Hulk Hogan when referee Earl Hebner, who was bribed by Ted DiBiase, scored the 3 count, despite Hogan raising his shoulder at the 1 count.
This was the infamous, yes.
Yeah, so immediately after winning the title from Hulk Hogan, Andre handed the championship to Ted DiBiase. But WWF President Jack Tunney ruled this as vacating the title, and therefore DiBiase's title, once again, another title reign that is not recognized, but this time it's a lot shorter. This is, it's about the same time as Antonio Inoki's. It's an 8-day title reign, and it's not recognized, but fucking Ted DiBiase defended this championship against Bam Bam Bigelow at a house show in February 8th, 1988, a few days after that. So it's weird. He actually defended the championship, but obviously this is all storyline terms. They didn't know that the lineage of the WWF Championship was going to be going on for the next fucking 60 years. So here we are. Hey, man, they do not recognize that.
Sometimes shit happens, and you've just gotta not recognize things.
Yeah. So the WWF president Chuck Tunney refused to recognize Ted DiBiase as champion and vacated the title. WWE recognizes the vacancy as starting on February 5th, 1988, the date of the controversy, rather than the date in which the announcement was made in a video aired on tape delay on February 13th, 1988. Now, you'll see this a lot with title reigns in any wrestling company, mainly the WWF, because most of it's been televised.
Well,
but
especially at this time where it's televised, but it's not televised live.
Yeah, exactly. So, but this is a weird one. Normally, it is that they've been doing it, and they've done it a lot, where the start of a reign will be the date it was televised. But in this case, they started the vacancy from the date it actually happened, as opposed to when it was announced on television. So, kind of weird.
That's the first big controversial thing I remember as a child watching it. Like, I grew up in the Hulkamania,
Well, it wouldn't be the first. This is the first controversy because, to be honest, the stuff with Antonio Inoki was very much real life controversy.
Yeah, this is storyline.
This is storyline controversy.
Yes.
Exactly. So, bit different, and would be the first ever championship controversy, really. As famously known, at WrestleMania 4, there was a tournament which was aired at the whole thing aired at WrestleMania 4 to determine who would be the new champion, and getting to that final was Randy Savage and Ted DiBiase, and obviously Randy Savage winning his first ever WWF Championship March 27th, 1988, WrestleMania 4.
And see, what a great way to put the belt on another face, because Macho Man was I guess he was a face at the time. I mean, after WrestleMania 3, after his match with Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 3,
he was a face after that.
Yeah. Because he was a heel at the time. He was a heel at WrestleMania 3.
No, at 3 he was, but by the time he got to 4, he was definitely a face.
Exactly. So this was his, and this was the culmination of his face turn, was giving him the title. And and for me, again, this is the first. When I started watching WWF, professional wrestling, WWF was the only thing I knew about at the time.
Yeah.
That was on TV that I could see.
I was thinking earlier.
Hulk Hogan was champion. Hulk Hogan was champion for the first several years that I knew about. I'm trying to think when it would have been. I guess it would have been. It was probably right after WrestleMania 3 or right around WrestleMania 3.
Right.
Was when that makes sense. 83, I was 6 years old at the time.
Right.
So man, I mean, I literally grew up with Hulk Hogan.
Right. Yeah, you're one of that generation.
And precisely the target market,
Yeah. And with me being just about a decade younger than you, I was basically being raised in that next generation, which was the tail end of Shawn Michaels and the beginning of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So
I was literally saying my prayers and eating my vitamins because the Hulkster told me to.
Yeah, so when I was about 6 years old, it was the childhood dream of Shawn Michaels coming true.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the next era was the dawn of that era, and for you it was Hulk Hogan. For me it was Shawn Michaels. Kind of crazy.
I mean, there you go. Yeah.
And real quick, I was actually thinking earlier, you can chalk up. Because I was watching a little bit of WrestleMania 40, and I was thinking you can chalk up a lot of similarities between the relationship of Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan to Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes being this American kind of icon, kind of like Hulk Hogan was. Randy Savage being that flamboyant, over the top, dresses in crazy shit.
Yeah.
Kind of, then there's that love-hate thing. It was we don't like each other, we do like each other, we want to help each other, but we just want to face each other. Yeah.
But I really want to beat the shit out of you every time I see you still.
Right? So it's it's quite a similar story.
There certainly is. There certainly is.
Nearly 40 years later. It's crazy. Anyway, back to the task at hand here. Randy Savage wins the tournament, WrestleMania 4, held the title for 371 days, and ultimately loses it. In pretty much a year later to Hulk Hogan at the next WrestleMania 5.
Because the Mega Powers exploded.
Yeah, exactly. So they had a match at WrestleMania 5. The title was then renamed to the WWF Championship now.
It was just called the WWF Championship.
Yeah, taking out the world, taking out the heavyweight, which is the WWF Championship in May 1989 during Hulk Hogan's reign. Then Hulk Hogan held that title for 364 days, 1 day less than a year, and lost that championship to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6. So we had a bit of a running theme here where for 3 years, the only time the title changed hands was WrestleMania. And it's literally Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, and Ultimate Warrior. It's like the three big pillars of fucking the 80s, basically.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah. That was Ultimate Warrior. April 1st, 1990 at WrestleMania 6 in Toronto.
And I remember listening to the Bruce Pritchard, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, when they talked about this and how, like, this was because this was what they didn't do. You didn't put two baby faces against each other, because who were people going to cheer for? And they're like, they're going to cheer for whoever they want to cheer for.
Yeah.
You know, this was a really big test, and and also the first champion versus champion, which to me was huge. I never in my child brain, still at the time, I was like 12 or so, like, it didn't occur to me that the champions could even fight each other, or the fact that you could win both titles if you had a title and you beat the other champion. Like, so this was the first time in my brain this even became a thing that was a potential, you know. And it's also, and this is why I'm so fucking pissed. And I know they did it, and I know they did it intentionally, about the Logan Paul switch up with the U.S. title not being on the line against Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's still to this day irritating. It's why we're going to be running down it's why we're creating a top 12 United States Championship title. I guess we'll call them title wins.
Yeah.
Because fuck Logan Paul. Fuck the Prime. Fuck Prime. It's C4 for me. Kicking over Prime Hydration Station, and I'm guzzling some C4 energy drinks instead.
Back to some controversy. You're definitely playing the part of color commentator today. That's for sure. Omar Warrior is now champion. He loses the championship to Sergeant Slaughter at Royal Rumble 1991, January 19th, 1991 in Florida. Ends a 293-day title reign.
The Sergeant Slaughter heel turn was fucking devastating.
Yeah.
Like,
big time.
This is why heel turns are so good. Like, I just remember, oh my God, I remember wanting to, like, strangle him myself. You know, why? Why are you turning on everybody? And the crazy thing is, I didn't realize until years later that General Adnan was the Iron Sheik.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know it at the time because I'm 13 and you're telling me this is General Adnan. And he looks different. I mean, he looks a little different. He wore different garb, and he was in. So, literally, the change of character and the change of outfit turned him into a different person for me. I didn't know. I mean, I never really, I saw the Iron Sheik wrestle as the Iron Sheik, not seen him, but like I saw him on TV wrestle as the Iron Sheik.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I had no idea, man. You know. That's how good they are. That's how good they are when you suspend disbelief, or when you're a child.
Yeah.
So you can have all the disbelief you want, because that's what WWE is. Anyway.
So.
Fucking love it.
Sergeant Slaughter wins the championship, only holds it for 64 days, and Hulk Hogan defeats him at WrestleMania 7 in 1991, March 4th, 1991. Holds that championship for 248 days, loses it to The Undertaker, famously at Survivor Series in November 27th, 1991. Now, this is when Ric Flair obviously got involved, and the whole tombstone onto the chair happened, because obviously Ric Flair slid a chair into the ring. Yeah, but also this is all happening in 1991 from the Royal Rumble, now making the Royal Rumble a staple, as you know. Oh, big time!
As one of the big events,
and then
Survivor
Survivor Series.
at the same
Exactly.
time.
Both the first years of those as well. I believe.
And the iconic. This is now. Well, this would have been the Undertaker's second year. He was debuted the year before.
Yeah, exactly. That debuted 19. Oh yeah, so yeah, it's not the first year of Survivor Series, but it's
the second. It's the second year. It's the Undertaker's anniversary, 1 year anniversary in WWE.
Yeah, this is the fifth. Yeah, 1991 would have been the fifth Survivor Series. So we had that, which is a bit of a controversial title win. Only lasted 6 days, and Hulk Hogan defeated the Undertaker at this Tuesday in Texas in San Antonio on December 3rd.
Controversial.
Now,
controversy.
So what happened here is obviously Ric Flair got involved in the match at Survivor Series, slid the chair in the ring, so the tombstone happened onto the chair, which made the Undertaker win.
Yeah.
And then at the Tuesday in Texas.
So you don't think the Undertaker would have won without
who knows?
tombstoning him on? We'll never know. We'll never know.
And then this Tuesday in Texas, President Jack Tunney was at ringside to make sure that nothing screwy happened again.
I know. One of the very rare appearances in person of Jack Tunney.
Yeah.
He always would be on video.
Video satellite.
Satellite.
Yeah, via satellite. But Tunney was at ringside for this to make sure nothing screwy happened. Ric Flair came out again, and he was obviously arguing with Ric Flair, and obviously Hulk Hogan went to attack Ric Flair, but it caused Rick to knock into Jack Tunney, knock down Jack Tunney. Anyway, Hulk Hogan wins the championship.
But then taking a bump.
On December 4th, the next night on Superstars of Wrestling, Hogan was stripped of the title because WWF President Jack Tunney was due to the controversy surrounding the last two title changes. He was like, "Fuck this shit! I'm vacating you the title," and we are then in January 19th, 1992, going to put the WWF Championship on the line
historically
in the Royal Rumble match.
Yep. Once again, now a year, and then once again a year later, making another historical moment with
at the Royal Rumble,
cementing the Royal Rumble as the second biggest WWE event
for sure.
You know,
so Ric Flair last eliminated Sid Justice to win the vacant championship. So his title reign begins on January 19th, 1992. Only lasts 77 days, and it was lost to Randy Savage at WrestleMania 8. That was his second reign, 149-day reign. And
they made me hate Ric Flair. So, I mean, I don't like that was the goal. Like, but dude, the sleazy shit with Elizabeth, I hated Ric Flair so much. I was like, who the fuck are you coming in here with that gaudy looking garbage belt that you got? You know, you ain't no champion. But man, I fucking and his whole shit with the pictures of Elizabeth. I thought it was so sleazy.
Oh yeah, it was.
And it's just like, man, fuck you. After the shit that went through with Hogan, now he's got to deal with this shit again. You know.
So Randy Savage is now champion, second title reign, holds the championship for 149 days, and on September 1st, 1992, Primetime Wrestling, Ric Flair wins the championship again. Now, it's another one of these weird ones. He wins the championship on September 1st. It's not aired on television until September 14th, but they recognize the championship as 41 days, which is exactly how long he had the championship for. So, one of the weird ones again. Anyway.
That also happened just as a digibonus. A double digibonus. That event was at the Hershey Park Arena in Hershey, PA.
Yeah, that's right. It was another PA.
There was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. People may not know this, but WWF frequently taped events up in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there's a rich wrestling history in all of PA, to be honest. Yeah. So Ric Flair holds that championship. He then loses for the first time since the 70s, I believe, at this point. I'll double check that right now. Yes, the first time since 1977, the title changes hands in a house show when Bret Hart defeats Ric Flair in Saskatoon in Canada.
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
That's right.
The Saskatchewan Center.
So this is obviously Bret Hart's first title reign, and it's an 174-day title reign. And then we have the very famous, fucking ridiculous moment where Yokozuna defeated Bret Hart at WrestleMania 9th, April 4th, 1993. Oh, we'll get there. And then Hulk Hogan comes out straight away and just fucking issues him a challenge and wins the belt like 10 minutes later. So.
I understand why certain people, in retrospect, look at this in a manner that is less than positive.
Yeah.
But motherfucker, it's Hulk Hogan. Like,
I was waiting. I was like, yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't matter what you think.
I guess it's in hindsight, because I think at the time, I think it was like no one really said shit because it was Hulk Hogan. But I think also, in hindsight, people realize it was done. It was a business decision. Yeah, and that's and certain people get salty about doing things that are best for business, and it's been talked about again. Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. They talk about this. They knew Hogan was leaving. They knew they only had Hulk Hogan for a limited amount of time, and they were going overseas. They were doing a whole European tour right after this. Yeah.
And those people they're not up on all of the stuff, and they want to see Hulk Hogan as champion.
Pretty much.
Because it was going to be the only, it might have been the only time they would have ever gotten to see Hulk Hogan as champion in the WWE.
Yeah, and he was obviously going to be off to make movies after this. There was no kind of bad blood of him going to WCW.
No, because that was not a thing. He was not supposed to go to WCW. He was retired.
He was retired, yeah.
This was and it was actually done this was done for the fans. This is what, and people and American fans in hindsight want to shit on it all you want, and whatever, shit on it. It's just going to fertilize the ground by which I am right in.
Yeah.
Which is those fans in Europe, they wanted to see Hulk Hogan as champion. And that was the only opportunity they were going to get. So I know it was the right decision.
Mm-hmm. So, 1 second. All right, so Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan's won the championship. Holds that championship for 70 days and loses it back to Yokozuna a couple of months later on June 13th, 1993 at the King of the Ring. Back to Yokozuna.
King of the Ring 93.
King of the Ring 1993.
Which was the very first King of the Ring event.
Yeah, that's right. The first ever King of the Ring event. Yeah, you're right. First ever King of the Ring event. Yeah.
Establishing once again, it is a new. We've got a new event. King of the Ring. I think King of the Ring was considered. Was King of the Ring considered part of the Big Five temporarily?
I think I would say it was one of the big events. I mean, to be honest with you, at this time there was Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, and King of the Ring. That
was it. Yeah, that's it.
And WrestleMania. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, it was considered a big event because there weren't many of them to begin with.
Yeah.
Yokozuna holds that championship for 280 days, quite a long reign. Loses it to Bret Hart WrestleMania 10, when Roddy Piper was the guest referee.
That's right.
Then we had Bret Hart versus Bob Backlund at Survivor Series 1994, which was a throw-in-the-towel match in which Bob Backlund won. His title reign only lasted 3 days, though, because Diesel then defeated him at a house show in New York. And this marks the last time the WWF Championship changed hands at a house show. So, and the reason being...
the second and last.
Yeah. Oh no, because I mean Bret Hart. But then if you go back to the 70s, a lot of those were technically house shows. They weren't televised.
Well,
so,
yeah, I mean that.
Yeah,
This
but
is,
in the era of
yeah,
in the era of television, the second time,
there was nothing but house shows.
that's right, yeah. And Diesel would beat Bob Backlund in what would be a squash match. He basically picked him up for a jackknife powerbomb and fucking won the match, and that was it.
Yeah. Yep.
So
which it's again. What's been done before? It's been done before. We saw in the 70s. What was it? Ivan Kola, was it? What did we say?
Sean Stasiak, didn't you say? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, Bruno Sammartino was 48 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and another reason for obviously Diesel winning in a house show, and that being the last ever time that happened, because this is 1994, around obviously this time. A year prior, Monday Night Raw began. So now you don't need to do title matches on house shows anymore. You can do them on Raw.
You can do them on live television. Yep.
Yeah, and we'll be seeing the first ever Raw title win in just a little bit. So anyway, Bret Hart then wins back the championship. Diesel holds the title for 358 days, and Bret Hart beats him in November 19th, 1995 at Survivor Series, which marks Bret Hart's third title reign. By the way, at this point, Hulk Hogan.
So Diesel had it for almost a year.
Almost a year, yeah. And up to this point, because I haven't mentioned yet, but actually, at this point, Hulk Hogan's held the championship 5 times. So at the moment, he's held the title more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So Shawn Michaels.
Slim Jim,
So Bret Hart ends the 358-day title reign. Holds the title for 133 days, and he was beaten by Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12, which is in the 60-minute Iron Man match, which obviously Michaels won 1-0 in overtime. Classic match.
Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario.
That's right. Boyhood dream coming true. Title reign was pretty impressive, 231 days, and it was ended by Psycho Sid at Survivor Series later that year on November 17, 1996. Psycho Sid then held that championship for 63 days, lost it back to Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels held that championship for 25 days. This is when Shawn Michaels lost his smile and then fortified his title due to a knee injury, and he vacated that championship on February 13th, 1997 on Monday Night Raw.
So this would be officially the third time. Right. Is this officially the third or officially the second time the title was vacated?
I guess you could say by storyline terms, this is the third time it was vacated. But in all time, this is the fourth time it was vacated.
Right. The first
time was like the Antonio Inoki situation.
Right.
So.
That's not recognized.
Yeah. So we're talking. This is the third vacation.
The first was when
Ted DiBiase. First was Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
Second was Hulk Hogan, and now
it was
Shawn Michaels.
Right. It was.
But this would mark the first time someone's had to vacate a championship because of injury.
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
This is the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
So then, In Your House 13, In Your House, the Final Four, this was called, on February 16th, 1997 in Chattanooga. Chattanooga, yeah, thank you very much, Tennessee. We had a 4 corners match between Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and Vader, and Bret Hart. Bret Hart won that match and would hold that championship a total of 1 day, because the next night in Nashville, Tennessee, on Monday Night Raw, Psycho Sid then won the WWF Championship from Bret Hart. He held that championship for a month, for about 34 days, and The Undertaker won his second WWF Championship in a no DQ match at WrestleMania 13 against Psycho Sid, which is the main event of WrestleMania 13. And that was a title reign for Undertaker 133 days, which I might be wrong, but I believe that's Undertaker's longest WWF Championship reign.
That sounds about right, because for as many times as Undertaker has been champion, they've
not been long reigns. No,
they've not been. He's certainly never held the title for more than a year.
No, that's right. So Bret Hart would then defeat The Undertaker at SummerSlam 1997 on August 3rd with Shawn Michaels as a special referee. If a lot of wrestling historians, for one reason or another, recognized this match in particular as the official beginning of the Attitude Era. I know it's quite a weird one, but if you go back and watch it, this match had a lot of implications as to the formation of DX and the soon to be gone Bret Hart, and there were chair shots to the head, and it was all a bit crazy, this match. So go back and watch it. It's quite an important match, that one.
Wait.
What?
You talking about SummerSlam?
Yeah, SummerSlam 1997. Bret Hart versus The Undertaker with Shawn Michaels as the special referee.
I mean, yes, yeah. I guess this would be, yeah, because we all know what comes next.
Yeah.
After SummerSlam.
Yeah.
This is setting the stage. Yep.
Yeah.
For the greatest work in WWE wrestling history.
So Shawn Michaels obviously famously faced Bret Hart 98 days later, and this was the Montreal Screwjob. We don't need to go into it. We know the situation. Shawn Michaels would...
Yeah, we know how great of work it was.
Shawn Michaels would basically kind of defeat Bret Hart win the championship in the screwiest fashion possible.
I mean the bell rang and the title was, that's what referee called for the bell. That's how titles change hands, when the referee calls for the bell and gives it to the other guy.
That would end Bret Hart's run in the WWF and Bret Hart's 5th title reign. So he is now drawing with Hulk Hogan for title reigns. So Shawn Michaels, on his 3rd title reign, holds that championship for 140 days and loses it to another newcomer, Stone Cold Steve Austin, at WrestleMania 14. We have Mike Tyson as the special outside enforcer for that match. Obviously, he counted the 3.
Yeah, and then ripped off the DX shirt to reveal the Austin 316 shirt. Oh, what a great moment. Great fucking, yeah.
91 days later, Stone Cold Steve Austin loses his WWF First Championship to Kane in a First Blood match at the King of the Ring in 1998, which is the same night as the infamous Mankind versus The Undertaker Hell in a Cell match, which we will get to an episode.
Which we will be watching, so we're going to be watching that later. Today.
So, First Blood match. Had Kane lost that match, by the way, he would have had to set himself on fire, because that's the kind of storylines we were doing at this time.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly the Attitude Era has begun.
Yeah, that's right.
And crazy
Kane
shit
held that championship for one day and lost it the night after to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Quite weird. Could have had a nice long title reign here for Stone Cold, but for some reason we decided to cut it in half with a day-length Kane run. Stone Cold Steve Austin wins the championship back from Kane on June 29th, 1998, and another 90-day title reign. And he then defends that championship at In Your House Breakdown on September 27th, 1998. And the title is vacated, so he's in a triple threat match with Kane and The Undertaker, and they pin him at the same time. There's a bunch of confusion.
The infamous double pin. Yes.
Yeah, Vince McMahon just takes the championship, zooms away in a limo, and is like, fuck this shit, no one's a champion.
And wasn't it the next night on Raw that he was supposed to present the title to the actual winner?
That was the Zamboni incident. Yeah.
This was where total chaos is happening all the time. And they're setting up, you see this, that something happens on the pay-per-view, and then something happens the next night on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the WWF Championship is probably more of a prop than it is anything else.
Yeah, it starts to get. I mean, you started seeing it even the year before in '97. That was what, 6 title changes in a year. Yeah, in '97, and how many title changes are we at? Like in how many?
Well, the year after in '99 is the most in one year. Yeah, so. We'll get
Which
to
was
that.
That was a Did You Know?
That was a Did You Know? That's how I know that.
From previous episodes.
Yeah.
Punks Talk Wrestling historians sound off in the comment sections of everything to tell us which
episode that was. Yeah.
Maybe the anonymous podcast critic knows which one.
That championship is vacated. So then on November 15th, 1998.
4th time. It's the 4th time it's been vacated.
Yeah.
Officially.
November 15th. Wait, well, officially. Where one Yeah. Hold on, we just did this, but 1, 2,
right.
Three, four,
this is how confusing the lineage is. We literally said
5. Yeah, yeah. It's the 5th in total, but 4th by storyline terms.
Yeah.
Although Shawn Michaels wasn't a storyline, so
Well,
5th. Let's just say it's the 5th. It's the the first one wasn't a vacation, so it's a 4th. All right, fuck me, Jesus fuck. All right, okay, cool. The Rock then wins his first ever championship on November 15th, 1998 Survivor Series when they held the Deadly Games tournament.
Oh my God,
the final. Yeah,
The Rock's first title was in '98.
Yeah, so The Rock faced Mankind in the final. This is obviously when they replicated the Montreal Screwjob in order for The Rock to win the championship.
I love it.
Then December 29th, 1998, Mankind won his first ever WWF Championship. And this is obviously the infamous,
seats.
Yeah, butts and seats moment.
Thanks.
This match actually, happened on December 29th, 1998, but the match actually got aired on TV on January 4th, 1999. So the title reign was actually 26 days, but it's recognized as only 20.
Yes, because in that era, even though Raw was pre-taped, they treated it as if it was almost live, it was live.
So then, only 20 days later, The Rock would then face Mankind in the now infamous I Quit match at Royal Rumble to January 24th, 1999. That was only a 7-day title reign. And then Mankind would then defeat The Rock again at Halftime Heat. Oh, yes. And the very infamous Empty Arena match. We've got 3 very famous title changes in a row here. So obviously Halftime Heat that was held during the Super Bowl, halftime of the Super Bowl 33. So Mankind wins that championship. The match actually happened on January 26th, but it was aired on January 31st. So once again, title reign actually was 20 days, but lasted only 15 as what recognized by the WWF. The Rock then defeats Mankind in a ladder match on Raw, February 15th, 1999, a match that I have fucking zero memory of, by the way.
Yeah, because it's just, they've been ping-ponging so much.
So I'm going to go watch that match because I'm intrigued by a ladder match between The Rock and Mankind.
Yeah.
And then we got our very first Stone Cold versus The Rock, WrestleMania 15, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Philly!
An event that we have watched and reviewed if you go back a few months.
We did.
So Mankind is a special guest referee. And again, 1999 was full of very infamous title changes, but here you go, once again.
Yeah.
Then, speed ahead, 56 days later, Undertaker defeats Stone Cold Steve Austin over the Edge. This match had both Vince and Shane McMahon as special referees. This
is also this is the beginning of the tier 2 pay-per-views, tier 2 and 3 pay-per-views.
Yeah, exactly.
It's starting to encroach. I don't know if it's monthly at this point, but yeah, it's starting. They've got pay-per-views happening at least every other month at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
The machine is in full,
Undertaker's now WWF champion. 36-day title reign. Stone Cold Steve Austin defeats him on Raw in a match. If the Undertaker had gotten himself disqualified or the corporate ministry interfered in the match, he would have lost his championship. Stone Cold Steve Austin's now on his 4th title reign. He was champion for 55 days, where Mankind once again become champion. For one day. This is in a triple threat match involving Triple H. Jesse Ventura was the guest referee. Then,
this was SummerSlam. Oh, right. There was so much shit going on that they needed a no nonsense, someone who's gonna be right down the middle because I'm a libertarian. So I'm perfectly neutral.
So we've got Mankind with a 1-day title reign. Then Triple H.
Governor Ventura at this point.
Ventura, yeah. Mankind holds that championship for 1 day. Then the next night on Raw, Triple H defeats him in a match of Shane McMahon as the guest referee. Once again, tape delay. So actual title reign was. Actually, this is different. It says WWE recognized Triple H's reign as ending on September 16th, 1999, when the following episode. So this played into Triple H's advantage. So it was aired much after the fact, his loss. So therefore, he held the championship physically for 22 days, but his reign is recognized as 24.
This is the opposite. We've got the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Now.
So the first time the opposite has ever happened here. So, yeah. So SmackDown had just begun. It's the end of 1999. Triple H holds this championship for 24 days, and then none other than Vince McMahon beats Triple H on SmackDown with Shane McMahon as the guest referee. Once again, we have a tape delay situation. So, again, he held the championship for 6 days, but it's only recognized as 4. Then Vince McMahon vacated the championship because obviously he is not a wrestler. Vacated the title due to the fully loaded stipulation after losing his feud with Steve Austin, who defeated The Undertaker at the event, and forced McMahon to no longer appear on WWF television. And then Triple H then won the 6-pack challenge, Unforgiven, on September 26, 1999, involving Big Show, British Bulldog, Kane, Mankind, and The Rock, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Triple H held that championship for 49 days, and then Big Show won the championship at Survivor Series, November 14th, 1999, in a triple threat with Stone Cold and The Rock. Means that in 1999, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 title changes in the year of 1999, more than any in history. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those title changes were on Raw or SmackDown. How fucking wild is that?
Yeah, so almost half of them happened outside of on television.
Yeah.
Not pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Well,
that takes us up to the year 2000.
That takes us to the year 2000. I think that's a perfect spot to cut our first ever 2-part episode.
Yeah,
of Punk
that's right.
Talk Wrestling. We told you the world title lineage was messy and weird, and I mean,
and we weren't wrong.
We weren't wrong. We never are.
No.
We're right. We're only ever right or surprised.
That's right.
On next week's episode is going to be part 2.
That's right.
Of our history of the WWF, WWF,
NWA, WWF Championship.
So yeah, but before we do that, shout out to Wikipedia. Shout out to Wikipedia. Support Wikipedia. That's where we get a majority of the information, especially our rundowns with commentary for our pay-per-view review reviews and yeah.
And title histories.
And title history, yeah. Shout out to our new followers this week. Because we're recording these in advance, I have no idea how many we're going to get each week, but I'm just going to joyfully assume we've got some more. You can follow us on social media, Instagram and Threads at Punks Talk Wrestling, Facebook and TikTok at Punks Talk Wrestling, YouTube at Punks Talk Wrestling, Patreon.com/Punks Talk Wrestling, where you can get some bonus content. Yeah. I think that's it. You want to end this one?
See you next week for part 2.
Fucking part 2, man. This is wild.
Fucking part 2.
Hashtag fucking part 2.
Not fuck in part 2.
No,
fucking part 2.
Yeah, like the second part of fucking.
Yeah.
All right, let's end it now.
All right, cool, bye. I actually found out something pretty cool just before we recorded, actually. In Shepherd's Bush, so that's where I am from and grew up in London. There is a venue there called Bush Hall, and it's very fucking old. Like it predate it. You know, it used to be a theater back in the day, and it's you know, now it's a music venue and stuff. So
shit, yeah, okay, yeah.
It seems like there's like issues and like there's threat of it being shut down, which would be terrible because it's been there for such a long time, and we have a shitty government who don't give a fuck about the arts or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I know that
yeah,
feeling.
you know what's up there. So you know they're not going to get funding there for that. But anyway, I've just found out that I've mentioned on this show before Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. I think they were one of my PPPs one
Yes,
week.
they were. Because
And I went to see them while, you know, we've been doing this podcast.
That's right.
They're a great band. Frank Carter is an amazing front man. He used to front the band Gallows back in the day before this band.
Okay.
But I just found out that he is doing some shows with the 3 instrumentalists from the Sex Pistols.
Oh, no shit.
Doing Sex Pistols, so he's going to be basically it's Frank Carter and the Sex Pistols essentially. So they're doing Sex Pistols songs at the Bush Hall for 3 dates in August.
No shit, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
I'd love to get to. I think I only just found out about it now, and I think they've all sold out. I mean, the Bush Hall is not a very big venue, so
We'll just tag Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes in this, and we'll tag all the members of the Sex Pistols, and we'll let them know that this is our PPPP.
Yeah, I guess this is this week's Proper Pricks Punk pick. Is Save Bush Hall.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds like we had a venue. I might have mentioned it to you when we were here. Actually, yeah, I think we drove past it. The Trocadero Theater.
Oh yeah, you
Philly.
did. Yeah, we did. Yeah,
because that was right down the road from WWE, where the convention hall where WWE World was. Once again, shout out to Al at 2K Games for getting us interviews during the WWE event.
Hell yeah!
Thank you again. I think we got to play at least one more. I think we'll.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Maybe in
we might drop
either
it in
this episode or in another one in the next few weeks. Yeah.
In the next few hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be rad. Well, we're gonna use the power of social media and the power of positivity. People power.
Is that your John Laurinaitis?
Hey man, yeah.
You're too clear. He's more raspy. Actually, I think I've got a really good John Laurinaitis.
Yeah, you gotta do, man. I mean,
people power. That's pretty good.
People power. It's me, John Laurinaitis. People power.
You kind of sound like a mix of "Give Me What I Want" Batista mixed with John Laurinaitis.
It sounds like it. Give me what I want. Give me what I want, man. I want people power. Give me what I want. Fuck, man, this has gone so far off the rails already. Which
let's get this shit back on track. So today, how's about we talk about the entire lineage of the WWE Championship?
Yeah.
All right.